Good evening and welcome to Special Assignment. I'm Ashraf Garda. In February of this year, a Zimbabwean woman living in Cape Town stepped in front of an oncoming train with her two young children. All three died. Cases of mothers killing or committing suicide with their children are said to be on the increase across the country. This week we investigate this phenomenon and ask questions on how this could in fact be prevented. Producer Aisha Ismail was sent on special assignment.
Mitchell's Plain, Cape Town. 30-year-old Zulfa Jacobs appears in court on a charge of murder and abandonment. Those close to her are in shock. They're finding it hard to believe that the loving, friendly person they know is the same person who was being arrested for killing her 2-year-old son Tariq. Their ordeal started on Thursday morning, December the 29th, 2011. Sister-in-law Tohida Davids recalls that day and the days that follow.
It was around about something to 11 when my mom phoned me to say that my dad has just phoned her and said that Zulfa phoned him to say that Tariq is missing. Then I immediately left my home. When I picked up my mom and we immediately came to the police station. After that, I went inside and then I asked her where she lost him and what she was doing last when he got missing. Then she told me she was standing at a bag store and when she turned around and then he was missing. I then immediately rushed to the town centre where I came to make these pamphlets and started handing him out immediately and asked around if anybody has seen him or maybe have seen his mother with him when he got missing.
They started searching everywhere in the town centre in Mitchell's Plain, usually packed with people. Her father, Shamir Jacobs, who runs a taxi business, also got some of his friends to join in the search. But they soon started running out of pamphlets, and Tohida had to go and have more printed.
And then when I walked down, that is when I noticed that the captain came with Zulfa and then she took off the pamphlets and they started handing out as well.
After hours of searching, they decided to extend their search to the area where Zulfa and Tariq had lived. She and her husband Walid were separated just weeks before. The search continued on Friday the 30th. Members of the community and the Community Police Forum also joined in, but this time Zulfa is not part of it. Then, day 3, Saturday the 31st of December. Tohida was hoping for a happy ending to 2011. The search moves to the sand dunes behind a school in Beacon Valley.
When I was sitting by my mom's place, that was like the Friday evening, and I was just saying to myself that we have to find him. There was no way that I was going to sleep or rest or eat because I didn't do one of those things. I was a part of the search from the Thursday, the Friday and the Saturday, and we didn't stop looking. And then eventually on Saturday, when we were searching up there in the bushes, when this neighborhood watch guy shouted and said we found the body, me and my dad was like running.
Tariq's little body is found in a shallow grave behind a school in Beacon Valley. And while this marks the end of the search and brings some form of relief to the family, they're in for another shock. While preparing for Tariq's burial in accordance with Muslim rites, they hear the news. Zulfa had been taken in by police for questioning and later confessed to killing Tariq. Shahid Japi, Zulfa's father, was also part of the search when Tariq's body was found, says it was a double blow for him.
What went wrong? I also want to know why. What made her do it? I mean, it's not easy for anybody just to take your own child and murder him. I mean, that's what she confessed to. But of course, I think the court also needs to find her guilty first of all, needs to prove that it is she that did it.
He describes his daughter as loving with a bubbly personality.
She will always come in here laughing and, but coming from her in-laws, she used to stay there. She will come in here in the morning, she and Torik, he will walk in here, he will run in here, Alaikum Papa, and he will come to me, he'll take my hand. Sorry. He will take my hand and then, Alaikum Papa, Papa, where's the biscuits? I always bought biscuits for him. Whenever I go shopping, I will buy a packet and I will say to them, this is for Torik when he walks in there, because he will always walk in there and ask me for his biscuits. So I will give him his biscuits. But on the present side, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Jappy says it's heartbreaking visiting his daughter at Paulsmoor prison.
It was very hard because we just looked at each other and we were just crying, and I looked at her and she looked at me, and I said to her, Zulfa, why? She said, Daddy, I couldn't anymore. I don't know what happened, but I couldn't anymore. I couldn't take it anymore.
And while Zulfa's friends and family are still looking for answers, her community has already found her guilty.
Who is Zulfa? Who is she? She is a murderer, God, you see. Hulle speel man en dan gee die klein woman nog vir hulle psychiatric help. Maar ouers wat help regtig nodig het voordat jy gegee nie.
This is painful for Jappy and for Zulfa Jacobs' in-laws. She is still awaiting trial and is due back in court on the 26th of April. Her case will then be referred to the Cape High Court, where she will stand trial for murder. Police are also investigating the deaths of our other 2 young children, initially believed to have died of natural causes. Tohida says she will continue going to court to try and find answers and to support her sister-in-law. She speaks fondly of the once lifeguard and creche teacher.
I just can't understand. I mean, if I could turn back the clock and go do my schooling, finish and do all the things she did, I honestly would. She's got a file like this thick with great certificates, diplomas and stuff that she got for all her achievements.
Tohida says at no stage did she sense that her sister-in-law was depressed.
It hurts me because I loved Zulfa, and I still do. As much as it hurts that Torik is gone, there is just a part of me that still feels the same way about her. She was a sweet person.
Do evaluation on her and see, and maybe come out, or maybe she will open up with whoever's going to help her. Open up and maybe something, what worries me also is maybe something happened with her over the years and she didn't tell anybody about it. She didn't tell me, she didn't tell her mother, she didn't even tell her husband, but maybe something happened to her, and she's maybe scared or ashamed to tell me what happened. That's the other thing I was thinking about.
So why did a mother jump in front of an oncoming train? We get answers after this.
According to some experts, mothers who kill their children are not as rare as we'd like to think. But exact figures are hard to find, as some deaths are recorded as natural and accidental. Pamela Sontrense from Philippi is facing a charge of murder and attempted murder. Her case is currently in the Cape High Court. The state alleges that she mixed rat poison in her 8-year-old and 8-month-old daughter's juice bottles. She also then drank the mixture. And while she and the older child survived, the 8-month-old died. No evidence has yet been led in this case. Vanolia Siwa from the Northwest Province is accused of drowning her 5 children, aged between 2 and 13. She allegedly first gave them brake fluid. When she saw it wasn't working quick enough, she drowned them. Her case has been put on hold in the Pampierstad Magistrates Court until the end of May to allow her to give birth to her 6th child. Nyarai Chiwandire, originally from Zimbabwe, stepped in front of an oncoming train in the early hours of the morning in February this year with her 2 children, a 1.5-year-old daughter and a 6-day-old baby. All 3 died. In Chiwandire's case, there'll be no trial, no evidence will be heard, and we'll be left wondering what drove this mother to take this drastic step. These are just some of the known cases in South Africa. How many more do not make the headlines? There are also a number of reported cases in other countries of women who have killed their children. One of the most well-known ones is the Andrea Yates case. She drowned her 5 children in a bathtub in their Houston home in 2001. Yates reportedly suffered from depression and bouts of psychosis for many years. The question why a mother would kill her child has been asked over and over again. Leading psychiatrist Professor Sean Kaliski says it's not that easy to find answers.
We think there are a number of reasons why people kill their children. Being psychiatrically ill is one reason, but it's a very small percentage of women or people who kill their kids. So someone may have schizophrenia or bipolar mood disorder or just be psychotic, and as part of a delusion they may do it. And really a woman who may have a postpartum psychosis or depression that persists for a very long time may end up killing her child, and sometimes it's an altruistic act in her head. In other words, she wants to kill herself, but she doesn't want to leave her kids behind, so she wants to kill the kids with her. So that often happens. There are other reasons. Some women or men kill their kids as revenge against a partner. This happens quite a lot here in the Western Cape. Usually men go and kill their partner's children or their own children as a revenge. Sometimes the kids die by mistake because the kid is being abused, like being whipped mercilessly or just being punished badly, and things go wrong, the child dies. And sometimes it's just a plain mistake. And there are many times when a woman has, and I say this advisedly, rationally realized that she can't cope with her kids anymore. She has no other options or solutions. And to her it seems killing the child is a very good option. So she may do it.
Kaliski says that while there are many state facilities, including NGOs for people to go to, the access is not the problem, but the recognition that somebody needs help.
There was no indication that Zufa suffered from depression or that she had a mental problem or anything that indicated to us that there's something wrong. She was a sweet person. Yeah, I actually have a photo of her where she was a lifeguard. This is she over here. So I can't honestly say that I could see there was something wrong, because I think I would have helped her if I saw it.
There's nothing that's going to warn you in advance. First of all, murder and rape, I use this advisedly, but are normal human behaviors. They're normal in a sense, not that they're acceptable, of course they're not acceptable, but they occur with a great deal of frequency. And in fact, we're living in a slightly less violent age as before. Up until about 50, even before the Second World War, the world was a very, very violent place where rape and murder occurred quite frequently, even in the developed world.
Kaliski says that one cannot predict who's going to be a murderer. And if a woman is depressed, it doesn't mean that she's going to kill her children.
I suppose you could say that in many contexts, being a woman with all the oppression and discrimination and responsibilities that are loaded on you, you've got to say, well, of course she's depressed. But that doesn't mean that she's going to go on the rampage and kill all her children. So we can't tell in advance. We are almost always looking in retrospect. You don't know. And that's the problem with predicting human behavior. We're far too complicated. And I think the media and a lot of my fellow professionals really looking for facile, easy answers, little flags that you can wave at, and that's that we have a solution. Human beings are far too complicated for that.
Mental health professionals agree that stigma is the biggest barrier to mental health treatment.
People become closeted because they are called all sorts of names, and we've heard them. And that adds to the isolation. We need to normalize mental health or mental illnesses as we normalize medical conditions. We talk about diabetes, we talk about high blood pressure, but when it comes to mental illness, we shy away because of the stigma, because of discrimination. We have, in South Africa, we have an amazing constitution. We have amazing legislation which protects people against any form of discrimination. And I think as society and as communities and as family members, we have a huge role to play to remove those shackles and allow people to come out and talk about their mental health challenges so that we can intervene and ensure that appropriate mental health services are provided at community level.
Coming up next, what is the solution to this rather tragic phenomenon?
I think the more awareness we can create around mental health services that we, for example, provide as an organisation, but also just services that are available, no matter how limited, at community level, or just a neighbour, a family member. Because, we're talking about those moms who committed suicide, who've killed their children. And what we've seen is a public flogging of these moms, even before sentencing, even before it's gone to trial.
Daniels is appealing to communities to support each other and to assist in getting help for those in need.
Phone us, contact a mental health professional, or just pick up the phone an organisation like Cape Mental Health Society. Go to your local community leaders, be it the imam, be it the minister at the church. Get that individual who's going through that particular experience referred to a mental health professional who could assist and support them with whatever challenges they are dealing with. We need to ensure that these cases are not heard of or read about, that they are prevented at all costs, because we are very sad to hear about these cases, because these are lives of children and mothers who are killed and mothers who have not, obviously, who've committed the murder, but are going now through a process where they are having to deal with the consequences of their actions as a result of what I believe must have been pretty serious mental health challenges that they faced.
Zulfa's father says 3 months after her arrest, she still hasn't had any psychiatric evaluation. And health authorities concede that at present, there's a 6-month waiting list for women on trial. But with the new almost R1 billion upgrade of Valkenburg Psychiatric Hospital, the waiting period will be significantly reduced.
Well, firstly, it's going to it will have an increase in bed numbers from 340 to 432, which is significant. But I think the whole methodology and the treatment methods and the facilities that will be built here will actually be the benchmark for psychiatry and mental health illnesses in the Western Cape and in the country. So the work that will be done here will be of significant importance for the province and the country as a whole.
Botha says the Western Cape has enough facilities for people to access, from primary health care to tertiary level, and that the public health service targets the lower income group, adding that the well-being of women and children is seen as a priority.
I think that women are in a very unfortunate position, many of them in this province, with men who do not fulfill their obligations. So then you end up as a single parent mother, and the father just ran off and is not taking responsibility. So the approach is very comprehensive in our government. In health, obviously, we want to deal with the consequences as best as possible. And in that regard, we don't save any money. We make a lot of effort. Women's and child's health is of utmost importance. And this facility and the upgrade specifically is going to be a very, very big advantage in that regard.
What we have found is that there's a higher prevalence of mental health challenges or diagnosed mental health conditions within girls and women. In fact, we need to start looking at children and adolescents because we are finding that the prevalence of depression amongst youth is extremely high. It's as high as 20% and higher in certain communities. And this is against the backdrop of limited services, mental health services in communities, limited services within the school environment to detect early enough that a teenager or a young child is experiencing mental health challenges.
Kaliski says times are tough and professionals need to look at how they are treating mental illnesses.
If you just take what's going on in the country or the world, well, there's an economic crisis, people losing their jobs, they're in debt, they're not coping with life, so help-seeking behavior increases. And that's the problem. I mean, I'm a psychiatrist. I see myself as a medical specialist, but I am very distressed to see how many life's problems are just being medicalized. So people go for help because they're feeling distressed. We give them a medical name, we give them a label, we give them pills, come back in a month's time. But you know what? It's all about life. You know, just living life is a very stressful, distressing thing.
Now, I'm sure that you have strong views on this issue, and you can tweet your comments by using the hashtag Special Assignment. You can also Facebook or email us. And catch my SAFM radio show that's just after 2 p.m. on Friday, when I'll be taking your calls on this matter. Well, now to comments about last week's show on the La Perla land scandal in Mozambique. Thabo Maboleka wrote, "Crime, fraud, corruption these days goes with big companies and people we look up to. Good thing Special Assignment is here to help the cause of South Africans." While Kolani Nonche wrote, "Good journalism expose, bad business daily. It happens under our nose." Well, that's it from me. Join us again next week when we point out the issues that matter.